Hey, this is Richie Dotson coming to you again from Chateau Debris, aka my office, my shop, and today we're doing something a little different. I was looking for a video to help a customer of mine because oftentimes we get broken necks in the shop all the time for repair, and all we need, if the customer is familiar enough with removal and reinstallation of a Gibson style neck or its neck attachment, you only need the neck. And then to save shipping and the danger that shipping a banjo whole can present sometimes, I'm going to show you how to remove and then reinstall your banjo neck. I'm going to start by taking the strings off this banjo and then I'll proceed. So stand by. You're only going to need a few tools here. Now this is a pre-war recording king made by Gibson, and so I know that this one is a 7/16 inch wrench that I need. I like the combo, but you'll only need this open end if that's all you have. You won't be able to use a closed end wrench. You'll also need something inside for the coordinator rods. Now, this is just a screwdriver that you bought on the cheap, but it's straight, right? So what I do, I tend to heat the tip up of these things once I find one that'll fit. You'll see in a minute. And bend it over, just put it in a vise and hammer it over. And while it is hot or heated up again, you can see the plastic, maybe in the video, has a little melty spot there. Good reason. So this has been with me a long, long time. Something else you might consider is a neck rest. This thing is probably 25 years old and it's been through several pieces of carpet and lots of instruments have been on this thing. So that is all you need. Another note is for different banjos. Gibson after 1948 started using half-inch nuts on the inside, and I wanted to mention that any of the imported banjos, all bets are off. Now I've already removed the strings from this, but what you might want to do or consider doing, number one, I don't want you to be afraid of doing some work on your banjo. So if you take all the strings off, and you know before the strings are removed, because you're going to have to take all of them off obviously, is if you want to put a pencil mark on the corner of each foot of the bridge before you remove it. I like to use a handy dandy mechanical pencil. Sorry, I've been buffing finger picks, and it is what it is. So that gives you a little point of reference. Now, all Gibson style banjos have these handy dandy knurled thumb screws. So you'll remove, this one only has 2 in it because we were getting ready to do, but some of them, the imports have a Phillips head screw. Some of them have little 1/4 inch hex heads that come from the 1925, 1926, and some beyond or behind that. So now that you've got it to this point, we want to remove the resonator, and we'll hand this to Brother Will. Say hi, Will.
Hi.
Removing the tailpiece is the next thing. You're just going to loosen this. Hopefully it's not going to provide you any major resistance. And if it does, you'll figure that out. Something that we like to use here is just a small job box. Anything will do. Just put your pieces and parts in it. There won't be a ton of them. And your bridge. Just set that aside. So now I'll remove the neck rest. We don't need it for this next one, and lay the banjo flat. Now we can get started. Some of these have what's known as a long nut, and if it's a long nut, it will be a hex head nut, about yay long, right here. And that will also need to be undone with your wrench. But we're going to proceed just like it's a standard set of coordinator rods, because that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the neck here, wood rim, flange, L brackets. Here's the tone ring inside. In case you're curious, does not necessarily apply to what we're doing. Now, this one, because I know it's a 7/16 nut, I'm going to start by loosening this. This is the bottom rod, but since it's upside down, now you're looking at it from the top. So we're going to loosen this, and then we're going to move it as far away from the wood rim as you can. Nothing magical so far, all right? So you're good to go. Now we're going to loosen the top rod, which again, it's upside down, it's on the bottom. And if these are really, really tight, so someone's tried to adjust the action with these, not really good for banjo tone. We'll get into that a little bit when we reassemble this banjo or reinstall the neck. Now, next thing we're going to do is right here at this L bracket, that's your tailpiece bracket, aka L bracket, shaped like an L. It's got a hole in it for your tailpiece attachment hardware to slide in. We're going to remove that one completely. So far it's a bit like watching grass grow, isn't it? Into the job box. I in particular need that so I don't lose things, because that's sometimes what I do. I'm going to set this wrench aside right now. Now we're going to move on to this handy dandy doohickey. We call it the coordinator rod wrench, even though it's not a wrench at all, is it? It's just a screwdriver. Explain that. So some people, in fact a lot of people, will use an Allen wrench that will just fit in there. I don't particularly like that because an Allen wrench is not round. An Allen wrench has points, and it's just something I don't like to do. But if that's what you can find, it's not going to kill anything, right? So now, with this installed into the hole of this coordinator rod, modern ones sometimes have two holes, makes it kind of handy. Now, the banjo is setting in front of you. This is installed. You're going to bring this toward you because there are threads up here that attach this neck into these coordinator rods. So, and the nice thing about having this one that's got a bend in it, I get a little extra room to turn by rotating it. I'm going to follow suit again, and sometimes if everything fits like it should, that'll just come right out. Now this bottom rod, again on the top because it's upside down, pull this out. Be mindful of the washer that's here, and on this one in particular, you can go ahead and put the nut on that to retain that washer. Don't want to lose that. And then we will proceed with the top rod in the same manner. Excuse me. Now yours may not come apart this easy. I don't know if it's a conversion. I don't know who made the neck. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this nut from here. And then this washer. You can't get them mixed up because this one's larger and will only fit back here. It does have a flat and then a beveled side. The beveled side goes toward the nut. The flat side goes toward the inside of the wood rim. I'm going to just install that on there so that this other nut will keep track of it. Remember, we only got one washer per, and this one should keep itself in check, and nothing should fall out now. Even if you drop this off your workbench or table, or do not scratch your wife's dining room table up. I don't advise that. Now that we got everything all loose from here, you've got two washers there. These are non-ferrous, but at this point, grab your wood rim with your non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed. And just pull. Those two washers will fall out. Now, there's your neck. Now that you got the neck removed from the banjo, You want to pack it up really carefully if that's what you're doing with it. Perhaps you're changing necks. Word of caution about changing necks. Pre-war Gibson banjos in particular, modern ones are a little different if you've got similar year and style, shape, or style and so forth. This is a conversion neck that we made for this old pre-war, so we know it fit, and we know it fit well, and so we didn't have any trouble taking it off. But now you want to pack this so that you're protecting these lags. I think the proper name for them are hanger bolts in the industry. Almost impossible to find these 1032 ones. We do have them available at, little plug here, www.banjomart.com. We'll be putting other things on there as well as the days and weeks roll on. But you want to protect these when you ship them. You know, a piece of styrofoam, it'll just stab right into that, and then you can start wrapping, protect this end as well. And if you're uncomfortable with them, I don't know any good reason why, you can protect the machines. That way you don't have to take them off. If this falls out, shove it back in, put a little bit of Elmer's school glue or something in there. We use hot hide glue, and then lightly tap it, and if it doesn't fit well, it may or may not stay in there. You might need some attention on it, but other than that, really straightforward procedure. Now, I'm going to show you how to reinstall this neck. It's much the same as removing it, except in reverse, but there are a couple of things I want to go over with you where that's concerned. Hey, we're back. You've got your banjo neck back, and it's ready to install. Inspect these lags, or hanger bolts if you will. Make sure the threads are in good shape. These on Gibsons, at least somewhere around 1927, they started changing around to the 1032. If you are looking for 1032s or even the old 832s that were pre-1927-ish, never say always or never with Gibson. We've got them available at banjomart.com. And we've got other things on there as well. We'll keep adding things as we go. But if these are chewed up or these are not in great shape, you can reinstall new ones. That's a different video though. So let's make sure that this fits back in. So we're going to reinstall the neck in our banjo. That should have went in without too much resistance, depending on who made the neck, if it's a conversion neck. So we've separated our washers. Remember where we put both washers on here and put the nut? So we've got that apart now. We've got our job box and our tools that we need on standby. So now I've separated these two. Now these two are different lengths. That's kind of important. This guy, the shorter one, we're going to install first. The beveled end of the washer goes against the nut. Now this nut, if you left it the way it was when it was removed, is all the way as far away from the end of the thread as you could get it, and that's very convenient for what we're going to do. So you can see the lags are poking through here, and I'm going to rotate this around just a little so you can see this end. So this shorter rod gets installed just like that. Now, on the pre-wars, people must text me. My apologies. So on the pre-war Gibson banjos, all of them without fail, this will barely fit into this. Unlike the modern ones, you may have to struggle with the modern one just a little bit. So I'm going to rotate this around. This top rod, again on the bottom, your pot is upside down, gets installed. Just push it in there as far as it'll go. Rotate this around so you can see the lags. Now, you want to get your job box out and fish out the washers can just go ahead and install. These are beveled as well on old Gibson banjos and some modern banjos. The flat side goes against the wood. The beveled side goes against the coordinator rod. So now that that's in here, get that finger tight. Now some of these are going to be stubborn. I've seen some pretty ugly alignments on these. We built this neck for this banjo, so we know it's dandy. Now we go to the longer rod. Now that bottom rod will only, the top rod, it's currently on the bottom side, will only fit that and is exactly the same no matter what banjo you're working with. And the reason I'm saying that is the bottom rod, here on the top side can be different. You could have what's known as a long nut, and it would be a hex nut that would be a 7/16 inch wrench that would fit that as well, at least on the old Gibsons, and that would be installed. But first you would need to install this side and this one carefully. On modern banjos, and this is not a modern banjo, this is in the 1930s. On modern banjos you may have to fight and twist and swear a little bit, but these were just different, in my humble opinion, lots easier to work with. So again, you're looking at this from this angle. You can see that we are going to just install that. And again, this nut is as far away from the tip of this as it can be if you left it the way it was when it was removed. You see the washer is installed, so this is your check. Make sure the washers are installed on both sides. The bevel side is toward the nut, the flat side is toward the wood. And now, if your neck builder or your banjo was built without a whole bunch of twisting, I've seen these lags installed with vice grips, and I don't much care for that. And the threads are all boogered up, and it's not very attractive and not very easy to work with. And sometimes the lags are bent, and so you may have to do a lot more work than I had to do on this one. But again, we got better control and machinery that will install these straight. And so I just whacked into a nice Neumann U87 there. So sound brought to you by German engineers. We install this again. You don't have to have something this fancy. It's not really fancy, is it? But it does the job. And you install this, and now, just like you were tightening it up, tighten it up. Don't be too scared. There are a couple of things that can go wrong if something is wrong. But in general, and it's going to be difficult for me to exactly convey this, this is going to be pretty tight up against here. Remember, there are no stresses back here at all. Everything's loose. So now, that's fairly tight. Now, if you're a farrier or a blacksmith, don't try this at home. Send this to somebody. I'm joking. And if you're an engineer, God bless you. I don't know how to instruct you. Just teasing. So that's pretty tight. I don't know the foot pounds. I've done this so long that I just know. I know I got a call from a very well-known person one day and said, Richie, I broke something. Well, he had just over-tightened this, and we got it all fixed. So, again, pretty tight. You go till it stops, and I'd say go a little bit more and make it pretty snug. Because this fit, if the neck is fit correctly and you don't have any issues, and you would have probably seen those by now. So if this is jammed up against and touching everything in this bead, this is a tube and plate flange, or in the one-piece flange, if it's rocking on there, you don't want to tighten it up because chances are you might break it. So let's not break it. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to only hand tight these against the wood rim for now. The the L bracket. There's only one way this will go. And then the nut. There's no washer on here. The L bracket itself is the washer. Now, sometimes these are smushed flat because they've been tightened and loosened over the years. But if there's a bevel, it'll go away from, and the flat will go up against. But most of the time, that's not the case. So now, you more or less have this banjo neck installed, except for two things. If everything is neutral here, and everything fits well, everything generally sounds better. And that's the way we like to install them. If your banjo doesn't respond, so just a little bit tight toward each other here, right? Nothing crazy. There. That's just past hand tight a little. Now this one, we're not going to get into banjo setup so much, but I want you to see what I'm doing here. Don't use an adjustable wrench on this. They've got little knurled thumb wheel, and it'll just do horrible things. So this one gets tightened. Again, in general, this is not a setup video. Just a little past hand tight. So now, the bottom rod, again on your top here, snugged in toward each other, not too far past hand tight. This one snugged up hand tight, and then just a little more. The thing left to do now is install your tailpiece. You can do it, Richie. The position of this tailpiece partly depends on your taste, partly depends on the physical surroundings of the tailpiece. Not going to get into that. This is not a setup video again. All right, you are ready. May I have the resonator, Brother Will? Thank you.
You're welcome.
When I install the resonators, and you might want to string it up first, I like to scoot the neck in first, and then let it seat. Why not? Now you're ready to install your thumb screws, reattach your resonator. Alexa's just got a mind of her own. Alexa, stop. We'll get back to that later. So you're ready to string this banjo up now. So that's pretty much it. I mean, you've removed the neck safely, and I don't like to use the word properly because it implies that you don't know what you're doing, and that's not the case. If you run into variables, stop what you're doing and ask for help, or trying to figure out if what you're doing is not going the way you expected. What should you do? Because it's not knowing what to do that will get you in trouble. It's not knowing what to do when what you're doing goes wrong. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate your time. I was really taken aback when I discovered there was no video like this, at least not on YouTube, at least not the morning I shot this. All fan noises and kitty cat noises and bumpy noises are real. No cats were injured during the shooting of this. And we'll get back to Jimmy Martin video in just a minute. Hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you like. Visit us on the web at www.acousticbox.com and banjomart.com. That's the web store, which is, they're both linked to each other. And like and subscribe. Share this video if you like. Appreciate your time. Have a great day. This is Richie Dotson saying toodles.